Pei Chai is a movement teacher, yoga teacher, sound healer, and the founder of Immerse Retreats. Her work is rooted in belief that true well-being begins by reconnecting with ourselves through movement, stillness, breath, and sound. Through her retreats, classes, workshops, Pei inspires others to slow down, cultivate balance, and live with greater intention. Pei, welcome to thinkspace.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good.
Yeah?
I had a massage this morning, so I feel good. I feel light.
I love it. Okay, I have to tell you two stories.
Okay.
So story number one is, I just hope you know, I'm so excited to have you here because I would say I've lived in downtown for 6 years.
Okay.
And I think like over the last 4 years, I went to Jaybird every Monday night.
Love
you were
it.
the only reason that I would keep buying my membership.
Love that.
Because I just needed, and that was during the earliest years of my entrepreneurial life.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about that class. It was like a permission slip.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I just hope you know you are so good at what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That feels so good. I mean, I actually love Jaybird.
Yeah.
I was there for a few years, and I definitely love the idea of going into a dark space and just kind of letting things go. And I feel like Monday nights, I actually taught Friday nights for a while as well. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of how I started. Mm-hmm. And it worked out so well. Because actually when I first started at Jaybird, or when I auditioned for Jaybird, they didn't actually have a spot for me. And it was hey, I have Friday nights available. We can do it on a trial basis. You can do your balance and sound bath. We'll see if it hits. And if nobody comes, then we'll kind of have to reassess.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? What do I have to lose? I'll just do it. And it ended up being one of the more popular classes on a Friday night. And then I kind of kept the spot. And then they added Monday. And it kind of just worked out.
Yeah. I feel like, unless it was like a weekend where, it's like one of the, because like, with Vancouver, sometimes on a long weekend, it's dead and sometimes it's so busy.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like unless it was a situation like that, your class was always packed to the brim.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found that what was happening was people were coming on a Friday night to chill.
Yeah.
And then they turned up on Saturday.
Yo.
Which was exactly perfect.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised. I was like, oh, no one's going to come. And when it first started, it was just a lot of my friends and like making them come. And then word kind of just got out within the studio. And I think people just started coming and was like, you know what? Friday night at the end of the work week, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect way to end it, I feel like. And then I think the Monday class worked as well because it was such a good way to kind of start off the week.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice little bookends of, my scheduling when I was there.
Yeah. It was one of those things for me where I felt like it was totally a bookend. I had this habit of, the reason I started going all the time was because I had this habit of not closing my computer. And I was like, I need this in my calendar.
Yeah.
And there was something about like, I feel too good to not give myself this. Yes. And then I would do that for the rest of my week where I would put my computer away by 7 and I would just like have Zoom in time. And it was just like, I feel like you were my constant reminder to not be an asshole to myself.
Yeah. And I just feel like sometimes the world can be so chaotic, and life is busy. And I think when you can just carve out, even if it's just an hour once a week, and I had people constantly coming in, multiple times a week, and saw me at other studios that I was at. And it was just so nice to see that people were like, oh, okay, you actually do want to rest. Because I feel like at the very beginning, when I was teaching, it was a lot more fitness based. It was a lot more intensity.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Vancouver, especially as of late, the idea of rest is actually okay now.
Yeah.
And it's people finding the balance between going into a class that's high intensity, but also having the balance of understanding that you can also rest as well. You can do a yin class and it's not necessarily like a waste of those credits.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the times people want that initial feeling of, you're spending $40 sometimes for a drop-in. If you don't live in Vancouver, you have to pay for parking, et cetera, et cetera. So you kind of want that initial gratification. So when you're taking like a fitness class, you're in this room, the music's loud, your adrenaline's pumping, you're sweating, all that stuff you're feeling right away. Whereas I feel like when you're doing a balance class or something that's slow or a sound bath, it's not instant. Because you kind of just have to lay there.
You have to sink into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's that feeling afterwards that kind of gives you that satisfaction. It's just nourishing your body. But I think it takes time to like get there.
Yeah.
because your mind doesn't always shut off. So after the first class, you might not feel it right away. It might not be instant. It might be boredom. I think a lot of people sit there and they're like, well, I just wasted $37. I just laid here. But I think if you make that more of a pattern, I think you can just begin to see how it could just begin to just nourish the soul.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of what was missing. And I think now it's more embraced, which is so awesome.
Yeah. Can you talk to me a bit about that shift? Because I totally know exactly what you're saying, where the mindset was, and I love the way that you said that, like, people come into the room, they start to feel their heart rate race, and like they start to feel that initial, like, okay, this is worth it. I'm getting my bang for my buck.
Yeah.
But that was so the mindset. Like, what do you think changed the culture for people to even welcome rest?
I think what was happening was burnout. And I feel like even especially with COVID, you had to slow down. A lot of stuff was closed. And even if you were working out at home, there was just a lot more shift towards the mental health part of it. Like, yes, of course, it's so good to go and get a good sweat and to work out your body, to lift weights, all that stuff. I'm all for that as well. But I think what was happening was I was noticing that after those classes, I felt detoxification, which was good, but sometimes I almost just felt like I was depleted, like I had no energy left to do anything else. And it was when I decided to slow down and do more of the slow paced type classes, or even just not even move and just take a sound bath, I felt like I was nourishing my body. And I felt like an energy shift where I had more energy rather than less. And I think in understanding that, I was like, oh, well, if I'm teaching, I want a balance of both. I want to create something where you get both, because I don't think you can really lean into one or the other. It's kind of like a yin yang. You need both in order to kind of find that shift, you know, in your mental health, in your soul health, and in the body. Is so important. They
serve you so differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What made you originally get into this space? Like, why did you want to come into this space?
You know what's so funny? It kind of fell into place. I did not plan to teach yoga. That was definitely not in the works. I actually was going through like a really bad breakup. And so I was in such a dark space way back when. And I just remember having a conversation with myself and just saying like, okay, you need to get out of this hole. Like, how are you going to get out of it? And I'm going to age myself here, but back then, like, Groupons was a big thing.
Oh, I remember. I remember Groupon. Yeah.
So I bought a Groupon for like a local yoga studio. That was near my home.
Yeah.
So the intention was really just to go to that studio for a month. I bought a Groupon for a month, and I was like, this is just your lifeline. You're just going to go every day, and that's just what you're going to do. That's
and
just
what
how
was your
you're
movement practice at that time?
At that time, I actually grew up playing basketball. So I was really into sports. I was always physically active quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I was fit. But I just wanted this studio was kind of a mix between fitness and slow yoga as well. And it was an infrared heat. I had heard good things about it, and I was like, sure, why not? It was kind of like the first of 5 studios I saw. So I was like, click, I'll just do it. Joined the studio. I went religiously every day for a month. And on the days that I was off, I went twice.
Yeah.
Fast forward, a month goes by, I ended up getting a membership, and it just kind of became this religious routine for me. And I would say about 6 months in, I remember I was in class and one of the instructors made some sort of a joke. I don't even remember what she said, but I laughed, and I caught myself kind of laughing in the mirror. And it was the first time in those 6 to 8 months that I laughed genuinely for the first time.
Oh, I know that feeling.
And then I was like, oh, like, you're not even laughing because you're trying to make sure everybody else thinks you're okay. I genuinely just had this reaction.
Yeah.
And I kind of just fell into the idea of the practice. I was like, wow, how did this thing like begin to heal me? So when teacher training came across, you know, for me to take an opportunity to do it, it was really just to understand yoga and to understand the philosophy and all that stuff, not to teach at all, because I had a full-time job and I was like, I don't have time for that. And I did the teacher training, and then it was like, oh, you want to audition here and teach here? I was like, yeah, sure. I have 4 days off. I can try. And it kind of just snowballed and just kind of became this thing that it's become, and it's been 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's so cool. You know, that visceral moment that you had, like, I think there's something about yoga, no matter what, like people just, I remember that for myself. And I remember that was like a moment where I was like, I think that I can never not know this part of me again. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. I just remember being in that space and just thinking like, how cool is it to be able to create this and hold space for people that are going through stuff, or even if you're just looking for a good time. I think that just kind of became my intention for teaching. It was more just to create a safe environment for people to come together, to move as one, to breathe as one, and just to kind of build community. And that was kind of the goal at the end of the day. It wasn't to kind of hit a headstand or whatever. It was just that physical feeling in the body. And I feel like I did that, and I missed that for sure. I've taken a bit of a break, but it's been nice to actually go back into the studio as a student again and kind of begin to receive just like I did before, because it's been a minute. I feel like once you start to teach, you kind of miss that part.
Yeah, and then you teach because there's so much love and like passion for it, but then you're like, okay, I still need to fuel myself.
Yes.
I want to talk about that. Like, what was the fuel at the beginning of your career? So 10 years. So like of wanting to do this versus at the end when you're making these decisions of like, okay, I'm going to take a break. What did it become?
I think at the very beginning, it was so exciting. It was something new. It was so different. I was used to being coached. So I grew up playing basketball quite competitively for a long time. So I was used to being on the other side where someone's telling me what to do. And when I got my teacher training and I was able to, step into the front of the room and kind of guide the space, there's something so cool about just being at the front of the room and teaching something that you programmed and just seeing the room move and breathe as one. It's the coolest feeling. And of course, as I kept teaching and people got to know me, people coming up to you, just being like, hey, you were my lifeline for this year that I was going through this and that. It felt really good. And I loved it. I loved the community. I met so many amazing people. I went off to kind of do different training and learned a lot of different things. So it was great. It was really fueling me at the same time as me giving as well. And I think along the way, I honestly just got really tired because in the interim, I was also working my full-time job. And I think the last couple of years, I want to say that I was almost doing this dance between my ego and my soul. And I feel like the ego is good because I think that the ego allows you to take risks. When I had goals to create Immerse and to make a bigger name for myself, it was the ego that was like, go and do it, go and grind. You got to be on Instagram every day, you got to post this, you got to be out there, you got to say yes to all the things. And then on the back end, I was like, well, if I keep stroking the ego, the soul will be okay, like the soul will feel it at some point. But I think what was happening was that wasn't happening because the ego is never going to be satisfied. There's always going to be the next thing. And I think what started happening was, that saying when it's like, hey, if your body's talking to you and you don't listen, it'll eventually scream. I think my soul eventually was just like, what are you doing?
How did you know?
I am so tired. And you literally are not allowing yourself to rest. So how are you giving when you're not receiving and you're kind of like running on adrenaline? And that's sort of what was happening. I felt like there was just so much anxiety sometimes that would build before a class. And I think the more popular you kind of got, the reviews, a lot of people have opinions. Sometimes you'll get a DM, sometimes you'll get, reviews that you have to read on platforms that aren't the nicest. And I think that really got to me at some point where I sort of was like, wow, I wanted to create this safe space. But along the way, I no longer felt safe at the front of the room. And I don't really know exactly when that happened, but that started to kind of trickle near the end. And it was almost like when I decided to slow down and when things were kind of like, hey, do you want to come teach this private or that private or come teach for this brand? When I started saying no, I could feel my body almost like breathe a sigh of relief. And as I kept saying no, I just felt lighter. And then eventually it was kind of like, okay, maybe you need to just take a step back for a minute. And I just knew me as a person where I was like, okay, if I take a step back, I need to fully step back. Because I feel like if I kind of do it half, I'll still kind of be like, oh yeah, I'll do this private here and there.
Just do it a little bit.
Yeah. So I just needed to just nourish my soul for a time being and then kind of go from there.
And I like that you're not prescribing like what's gonna happen next, or you're not allowing your ego to lead, I guess, where you're like, okay, well, this is how I'm gonna come and do it. You're just like, I'm in space right now and I'm in the void and I'm gonna just be in the void.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I feel like, sometimes like when I decided to take the break, a lot of things kind of happened where I was like, oh, there was this big event and a lot of my friends taught at this event and it was amazing. And I love seeing them go off and do their thing. But I was like, oh, if I was still in this, I know that I would have been a part of it, and it's just checking myself again, being like, okay, is that your ego that wants to do it? Or did you really want to do it to for your soul and to be out there? And I think right now I feel really good about just taking the step back. And honestly, this whole year that I've been going to classes, I'm still going to classes, I'm still at the studios. But I'm finally able to just take class and be in my body and enjoy it. Like I'm not in class thinking, oh, they're offbeat. Or,
that's
oh,
huge.
hey, that was a good transition. I'm going to use that because I'm not planning on using it. That's been really good. And I've talked to a lot of other instructors that I know are still teaching and they're like, man, I don't know what that's like.
No, because you're in true receivership. I can't go to, like, I'm a producer and I can't go to an event and not think about the production of the event.
Yeah.
And my mom is like, I don't like going places with you. Yeah. And I'm like, that's so fair.
Yeah.
Because I can't help myself, Yes. And it's one thing to be in that mode versus like truly be in receivership of the space and the space that's being held for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I forgot what that felt like for so long. And so now it feels good to be in it. And then also it's going to help because I feel like now that I'm on the receiving end, I'm like, okay, this is what I like. And if maybe I decide to come back out and redo Immerse again, I just have a better understanding of like, okay, I know what it's like to fully receive now. I have a lot more to give out. And I have a better idea of, as like a receivee, what it's like and what, people are kind of looking for. Because I kind of feel like even when I was creating these spaces, it wasn't like I didn't know what people wanted. I still kind of wanted to be in an open space and kind of cultivate something that I was kind of needing in my life. But now that I'm on the one end where I'm just receiving and kind of understanding that feeling, I feel like in the future, if I were to create a space or come back out with a new retreat, I just have a better understanding of like what it is that I need to create. And maybe what it is that people might want, and it'll be nice.
Would you say that maybe, okay, this is just a thought that's coming up for me. Like, would you say maybe your point of reference has shifted because when you came into this space, you were at a place, from what I'm understanding, like very rock bottom place, versus now you're not coming and creating from that place.
Yeah.
You're creating from such a different intersection of creation.
Yeah.
But then if you're creating at a different intersection of creation, your people are at a different point too, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like what's amazing is along the way, I've met so many different people from different walks of life. And the most beautiful thing I think about going to workshops or retreats or events, and I say that because I think when you go to a class, it's an hour and it's not a lot of time to, get to know the person next to you. You're almost just landing on the mat, taking the class and you're leaving. And of course that's great. But for me, when I wanted to create Immerse was more like, okay, I can start off with doing workshops where we have 3 hours together. So yes, you get the movement part, you get the time to reflect, journal, and then you also get the community part where you meet someone new, you meet a group of new people and kind of build friendships from there. And I kind of just felt like that was sort of what was missing and I wanted that. And so in the space of like creating that, it drew in so many different people. So there were people that were of different ages, going through different stuff. There were definitely people that came in that really were in rock bottom. And then you had the odd person that was just like, I'm just really busy and I just needed a weekend to chill. And it's so cool to get all these different perspectives, especially when we're in those sharing circles where you're like, wow, you've been through some stuff. And for you to feel safe to share that with me, and everybody just having that empathy, and then also just realizing that we're not as different, you know, as we might think. And I think that that's beautiful. Like, I feel like in the future, if Immerse were to come back, which I'm thinking that it probably will be.
I feel like I think it's coming back. And it feels like a soul coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a replenished one. You know what I mean? And I think that's just kind of what I'm gearing towards. And I think I feel like it's only been 7 months since I've kind of stopped. But I feel like it's been a lot longer than that. It's kind of crazy, but I'm like, nope, you just take the rest of the year. You still have the rest of the year to chill and, you know, see what's out there.
How did you know, like when you said that your soul was kind of knocking at your door and then it started screaming, like, how did you know?
I think for me, it was the physical reactions of like the last year of teaching. I had a lot of anxiety. It was just my body telling me, like, why are you so anxious to like teach this class that you've taught like a million times? And it honestly didn't really feel fun anymore. And I think I just got consumed with like the reviews, kind of, I guess, like this idea of what I should be when I'm out in public. Like, okay, you're this yoga instructor. People know you as this, so you have to present a certain way. If you're teaching at this certain studio, well, you should look this way. You know, just things like that. And I think it just became a lot.
Your dark humor doesn't match that.
Yeah, for sure. And also because I was working full time, I had this whole other life. And sometimes I would work my 12-hour shift, go in and teach till late at night, and then have to be back up at 5 a.m. for my actual job. And I think a lot of people didn't know that, and they didn't need to. But I was just depleted in that sense of energy. And I felt like before, going to teach was a way for me to like refuel again. It was just this passion that I love so much. And it just became a chore. Like, you know, like after a shift, I'd be like, oh, I got to go teach like 2 classes. It was the last thing I wanted to do, but I had to show up because I felt like the energy does transcend. And in the back of my mind, I think I just knew, like, eventually if I kept doing this, people are going to know. They're going to know that I didn't want to be there as much as I can pretend once the mic's on, you know, that I'm excited or what have you. I think eventually it'll just come through.
Yeah, I totally feel what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, I think just being authentic on and off the mic is huge.
Yeah.
And I think eventually I just noticed that that's just kind of what I sold from the very beginning. And I knew that wasn't happening. You know, so I knew that the break was needed.
You really did sell that, like, radical self-honesty, I feel like, was your brand. Like, it was just like, yo, like, what are you truly coming here with? And then when you have to face that and you have to be courageous in that, it's calling you forward and up, because all right, you're this is your thing. Now, how do you practice this at a whole new depth? Yeah.
And I think for me, it was, I stayed as long as I did because I actually, when I created Immerse Retreats, it was so amazing because it was something that I could do on my own terms. I feel like as an instructor in Vancouver, it's great. There's so many studios, there's so many options. And I feel like a lot of people are teaching at places that they align with for sure. But I think when you're teaching at these places, you're still teaching behind someone else's vision. Behind someone else's idea, their programming. And as much as you may align with it, it's still not really yours. And I think I always knew that. So I was like, well, I need to create something that's like off brand, that's mine. And so because I always kind of had that on the side, as much work as it was, that was kind of what kept me going a lot longer. Because I felt like the people that were coming to that, they were my tribe. They were my people. They were coming for me. And it wasn't about the amount of Instagram followers you have or what I was posting day to day online. They were just coming for me.
It was your vibe.
Yeah. And it took me a really long time to accept that. Because
like to receive it or
to receive it. Because I think I just had this idea, you know, and I think I still struggle with this sometimes where I'm like, well, in order to be successful, you need to have X amount of followers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even when I decided to launch the retreat and do the pop-ups, I was like, no one's going to come. It's not going to sell out. And even when it sold out the first time, I'd be like, oh, well, that was just luck. It's not going to happen again the second time because you need to, you know, you need to have like Lululemon sponsor you and this and this and this. And I think that was tough for me. I think eventually this whole wellness thing, it also becomes a business thing.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of learn to kind of navigate both. And I think I struggle with that. I still do. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I kind of was at the crossroads. Like, okay, you have your full-time job. That's your bread and butter. And that takes a lot of time. And you have this yoga thing that you've built. And I think I was at a crossroads where I was like, I don't think I can do both and have energy for both, if that makes sense. So you need to pick one. But being the type A person that I am and also growing up like Asian, it was like, well, no, I have to keep my daytime job. I have to be the best at
everything.
Yeah. Well, I have to do the daytime job. Like I need the pension. I need the security.
Yeah.
So then the yoga things, that's just a fun side hustle then. And I kind of just had that in the back burner, but it was like, but I work so hard for this.
Yeah.
So how do I build it for it to become this big thing, but I can't give it 100% because I have this other side of me that is like pulling me back. And it's the business side. I think I just don't know how, you know, some of the people that I've like worked with through the retreats and stuff are like, you charge too little, you know? And I'm like, I don't think that somebody should have to pay this crazy amount to work on themselves, you know? But then things cost money.
Yeah.
Right? So then it's like, where's the balance there?
It's got to come somewhere. I think that there's so many things that I think on that, right? But like, there's two types of charging too much, I feel like.
Yes.
Or charging too little. One is, am I not seeing what I have here? Am I not like rising to like my skill level, my availability? The other is, I think that there's a desire when you have been a person who has like truly received, I think you also know like the importance of these like scholarships, of sliding scales, of understanding that people in those communities, as an entrepreneur, like when I first started, I had no money. And so it's like, I am deeply thankful for those people who had those sliding scales. And now I'm on the other side where I can pay the full amount to help them to be able to have other people have the sliding scale.
Exactly.
But that's very different than like, am I owning what I'm bringing to the table? Yeah.
And I think for me, it was, okay, if I'm starting off, I don't want it to price it too crazy because then maybe no one's going to come. And then you have the offside, like the business side of, you know, people being like, okay, but you understand that time's money, right? So you're not just charging somebody for this 3-day thing or this 3-hour thing. It's also the time that it takes for you to make the playlist, the time that it took you to program. Like these are hours that it takes for you to do these things. So are those just free? You know what I mean? And I think I was just like, I never thought of it that way because I don't have a business background. So I always just thought it's this wellness thing. I want everybody to be able to come. I want to be able to give back to this community that I grew up in. And how do I do that while still making it afloat? You know, making money or so that I'm not losing as well. I think that was tough. I definitely learned a lot, and it's definitely got me to a point where I think now I think I figured it out. But it's tough because I really want it to just be about the healing process and community. But there's
you
this
know
whole
something
other
I
side
learned
of it.
is like, I can't remember the exact way it was said, but there's so much winning in the clicking. So what that means is like, the person on the other side, let's say I'm going to go sign up for the Immerse Retreat. By the way, I remember when I found the Immerse Retreat and it was already like, it already happened. I was like, oh my God, I would have loved to come, and I will definitely be at it whenever it comes back. But like me clicking that I'm going to do this, like that is the courageous act I have to take.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think sometimes when we're in that, I've been there, right? Like with coaching, like I was just like, I don't know, like I want to be able to give this, I don't like, but it's like, you're taking away a huge opportunity also from them to be able to step up for themselves.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's you're your own worst critic.
Yeah.
You know, like I've sold out everything that I've ever put out there, but I don't know why in the back of my head, sometimes I'm like, oh, like no one's going to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even deciding to step away was tough because the ego is like, what are you doing? If you step away now, no one's going to know who you are. You
like,
know,
will they wait for me?
Yeah. And then who are you now then? You know, who are you then if you're not teaching at Jaybird, if you're not teaching at Altea, then who are you? And you're not doing Immerse Retreats. Well, you built that from scratch and now you're just going to walk away. Like, you know, and I think that was tough to just be like, you know what, I'm going to step back. And if it's meant to be, you know, it'll find me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
the new iteration of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was the tough part. And I think a lot of people kind of go through that as well, that are teaching right now. Because I think it's just this idea of you need to be relevant. Yeah. Right? And it's a numbers game because you want your classes to be full. And for whatever reason, like if you're somebody who teaches at like 10 a.m. on a Monday, your class is not going to be as full as somebody at 5:30 p.m. But then we play these mind games with ourselves being like, nobody likes me. Yeah. You know, and it's like, why?
We make it about our worth when it has nothing to do about our worth.
For sure.
Yes. I want to know, like, how did you, I want to know two things. How did you navigate your identity at that time when you, like, when the decision clicked and you were just like, okay, like, how did you navigate all that chaos?
I think for me, it was slowing down. It started off with me just saying no here and there to bigger brands and I guess big opportunities where it's like, hey, we're having this event and we'd like you to come and lead this part. Money was good and it was like, oh, this is a big brand, I should do it. But for whatever reason, I was like, just don't do it. You're going to add way more stress. And when I was saying no and I almost felt lighter. I was like, oh, okay, that felt good. Okay, like let's do the next one. And the next one kind of happened and I felt even lighter. And actually, I had an opportunity to audition for a studio. It had nothing to do with yoga. It was actually like a fitness studio. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I come here all the time. I'd love to teach here. I think the community here is great. And I was like, but Pei, do you want to add more to your plate? Like, what are you doing? So I made a promise to myself and said, go and audition. If you get it, you're going to continue and teach and push for another year. And I was like, okay, sure. I went and I auditioned. I thought I did really well. I made it to the very end. There was a few callbacks, made it to the very end, and I didn't get it. And the old me would have been so sad and would have been almost embarrassed. Like, oh man, I go to the studio all the time and I didn't get it. But when I got that email of, hey, you didn't make it, I almost smiled and was like, oh, thank God.
Because you found out what you really wanted.
Yeah. And I was like, thank God, I don't have to go through the training and I don't have to do this. And I was like, okay. And I kind of sat with it for a second. And a friend of mine actually got the position and she had told me, oh man, like they're changing the training. It's going to be at this time. And I was like, thank goodness, because I wouldn't have made the training. So it was almost like everything lined up. And when that happened for me, I was like, boom, I emailed the studios I was at and I was like, hey, I quit. And they were like, what? I was like, oh, I'm taking a break. They're like, okay, you can still sub. I'm like, no, I quit. And then I did that. I didn't tell anybody. I just was like, at the end of this year, I quit. And then on the back end, I was like, what am I going to do with Immerse? Like, am I still going to kind of do that? And then of course the
the part of me that's like, oh, well, if you're not teaching at this place and this place, who's going to know you? How is Immerse going to grow? You know, and I kind of pondered with that. And then I just thought, you know what, let's just take that full break. And then I made that decision. And then when I press click to make that post, it was like, there's no going back. I can't.
There was no going back.
Yeah. And I used the word retired.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to use the word break.
I really loved the fact that you used the word retired because I was like, oh, I just feel like you're just choosing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody was like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, no, it's a clear word. You know, and it kind of forces me to be like, I have to stick to my word. I've always been that kind of person anyways. Once I say it, I will do it. So I knew that when I put it out there and it was like that word was retired, I couldn't just like 4 months later go, anyways, just joking, I'm back.
Yeah.
So
like,
I knew
who's that guy, Tom Brady?
Right, exactly. I knew I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
So when I put that out there, I was like, I knew that I was going to stick with it. And I did. And I have been. It's been really good. I don't really want to think too far ahead as to what 2027 is going to look like, because I think I've always been like that. I've always had like a 5-year plan. And I just think it feels so good to be like 42 and not have a 5-year plan
and
for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like in a blink of an eye, I when I turned 42 this year, I was like, where has the last like 42 years gone? You know what I mean? I've done a lot for sure. But I feel like in the second half of life, if I could just slow down and not plan so far ahead, I could actually live it and enjoy it. And even when things aren't going my way, I could still kind of push through it in the moment and not plan too far ahead, because I feel like I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting to 42 is like how, because I just know, like, as a woman, that must just be such an initiation.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like, what has that been like for you?
You know, what's so funny? I was actually talking to my friend a couple of years ago when I was turning 40, and she's younger, and I was saying to her, like, I can't still teach at 40.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, I don't know. Don't you think that when you go into like this studio that you want someone who's like 28 and you know what I mean? I'm just telling her, I'm like, this is how I feel. I feel like I'm old and like no one's gonna, I was like, I can't teach till I'm 50.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to come in and take my class at 50.
Yeah.
And we just laughed about it. And I was like, well, thank God I don't look that, so I could pass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's turning. In my mind, I don't know where that even came up with. I don't even think it's like a thing.
Society teaches us. I think we do not realize. Yeah. Like, as much as we realize, I don't think we realize enough how much society has imprinted on us for like, this is what, especially as women, of like, this is what you can do and be at this age. And it's like everyone loves the Golden Girls example, right? But it's like, yeah, that's how women were seen.
Yes.
And I just think like women are just changing the freaking game.
For sure. Because I mean, at this time, like, I really don't think someone's going to walk into the studio and be like, oh, you're old, I'm leaving.
Never.
You know what I mean?
No.
It's just literally in my mind. And I was like, and to be honest, I feel like at this age, I've lived a life.
Exactly.
And you're going to want someone like that to host a retreat and to hold space.
Yes.
Not that anybody who's 20 shouldn't be holding space. I just feel like if you haven't really lived, you haven't gone through the things, it's hard to hold space for a group of people that are going to be coming to you essentially looking for a little bit of guidance.
Yeah.
Right? And I may not know it all, but I feel like I've lived enough of a life to have the compassion and the empathy and the understanding of this crazy thing called life. And I feel like without the age, I wouldn't have that. There's no way 20-year-old Pei would be able to do Immerse and have it be what it was. There's just no way.
Yeah.
You know? And it would just literally be us jumping around and getting sweaty. Like, you know what I mean? It wouldn't even be anything about the wellness stuff, not about the talks. Because for me at that age, it was just about the instant gratification.
Yeah, it was about the fire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. When you said that, I just thought of like the young person is all the fire. And you know, it's kind of crazy because I love that you recognize that it is all in your head, because I just recently went to somebody's breathwork session, and she's like, I want to say that she's in her late 50s, early 60s.
Okay.
And I just loved being in her energy. And like, there are times where I really look for older women because I'm like, I just need the wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah. And even if you're not giving, like, the thing is, like, even if I'm in a class, there's 30 people.
Yeah.
There's something about the way that you move and you hold that space. I know I'm in a wise woman's space.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And I think just having the confidence to do it. And again, just being authentic on and off the mic. Because I feel like for me near the end, not that I was not being me, I think I could just feel my energy depleting. So when I knew that, I was like, I couldn't be that person that holds space because that's not fair to anybody else who's paying, you know, sometimes an arm and a leg to come to an event or a retreat. So I felt like it was more brave. Like, I mean, now that I look at it, I'm like, man, you set out to do a lot of things and you did it. You stepped away when I think a lot of people would have just kept pushing forward, but you chose to step away. And I feel like it was a lot more braver for me to step away than it is for me to kind of just stick it out and kind of
so much braver.
I don't know.
So much braver. I had invited I didn't know it was your last session ever.
When you came to the last dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did it now. And then one of your friends told me that it was the last one ever. And I was just like, oh, that's so crazy. So I invited my friend Priya, and she's like, what kind of session do you think it's going to be? I'm like, I don't know. I always go to the chill ones. And I have no idea that you do other sessions that are
I remember that because she was in jeans,
She was
right?
wearing jeans and we're in the front row. And she's like, I have days where I randomly think about that and I get so embarrassed.
That's so, but no one even noticed. No one noticed. Everybody was in their own pain during the power. I feel you. Yeah.
Oh, but how did it feel, you know, being in that brave moment, having that brave moment where now you're in your last session? Like, what was that like?
I think there was a mix of emotions. I was anxious, but I was like excited anxious to have the community that I built come together. It was actually really cool because it sold out, but there was a few people there that I had actually never met.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I was like, oh, cool. Like you know, welcome, but it's also the last one. And a few of them were like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, like, where can we see you? Like, if you're not doing your own stuff, like, can we come see you at a studio?
Yeah.
But it honestly felt like a full circle moment. I called it the last dance because I'm a big basketball person. That was kind of the ode to that. But it felt full circle. I felt so much love. And it was really nice to just kind of see people from day one. There were people that were there from like my oxygen yoga days in New West.
That's crazy.
And that would have been over like 10 years ago when I first started.
Yeah.
To, you know, people that found me online just doing Immerse. They never even came to a studio session. And it was cool. It was cool to be able to kind of finish and teach kind of the fitness type of yoga that I love. Into the breath work, have everyone kind of get into small groups, and then lead right into like a sound bath, which is kind of what I immersed into near the end. So it felt really good. I felt like a weight lifted off when it was over. A little sad because I was like, oh, am I never going to feel this again?
Yeah.
You know? But I knew it was the right time.
But what a beautiful way to
a
beautiful way to like be like, okay, I'm done with this for now.
Yeah. And I felt like I left on a high and I left on my own terms and how I wanted to end. And it felt good. I feel like the moment that I decided that I was going to retire, I taught with so much freedom. It was so fun again. And again, it was because I had told the studios like way in advance. So I knew that it was happening probably about two-ish months before I told everybody else or we announced it. So for those 2 months, it was so fun because in my mind, I was like, oh, I don't care. Like I'm leaving, so I can do what I want. I'll play what I want to play. And it was
always had great playlists, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was fun again.
And then there's the ego part that kind of crept in and was like, well, it's fun again. So
I'm
what are
loving
you
this.
doing? Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But I knew that was just temporary.
Yeah.
And again, if I were to, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about like, well, what are you going to do? And I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I know for a fact that I don't think I would go back to doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like, well, if I'm going back to do the same thing, I think the same thing would happen.
Yeah.
The depletion and all that stuff. So it would have to be something different.
Yeah. The only thing I've heard you sound excited about is your retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The retreats are so cool.
Yeah.
I've been to a few and just meeting the people that you meet there. It's just so, it's more than just doing the physical movements. If anything, it's like the yoga part's kind of the chore. You got to get up really early to go do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just like having dinner together.
Mm-hmm.
Being in such a cool space, depending on, where you host it. That's the part. And I've met some like lifelong friends.
Yeah.
I went to one in Bali and that was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Met some amazing friends. That's where I found sound healing when I was in Bali. And brought that back, but it's been so cool. And the Immerse Retreats, like when I did them in Bowen Island, the incredible amount of people that came and they've now become friends. I love seeing that.
Yeah.
That they didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And now I can see on social media that they hang out, they follow each other. That's really cool.
Oh, that's so cool to be this central space for how that happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have such it's like a dynamic question, answer how you want to, but like the intersection of helping people and then also helping yourself in the sense of like making it work for yourself.
Yeah.
How have you navigated that throughout your time?
I think for me, I've always kind of themed my classes based on sort of what I was kind of going through as well. So when it was received well, or when it's received, it's great because I am helping somebody. But I think in feeling the energy of the release in the room, it's also healing me as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, it's like, again, I always go back to just being authentically me. I've never kind of steered away from that. I'm me behind the mic, on and off of the mic, on and off of the mat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of feel like as long as you're sticking true to yourself and you are practicing what you're preaching, it's important. And I think it resonates. And I think people keep coming back for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel, especially during a sound bath when it's quiet and you're all laying there, I can feel the energy shift. There's some nights where it doesn't. I can just feel that it's heavy, and there's not much I can do about it on the front end.
Mm-hmm.
But when you collectively see, there's just like a part in the sound bath where I'm just getting you guys into the breath work, and then eventually you guys are settled. But it's like I can't explain it. It's just this feeling where I could see the way that you guys are breathing, and all of a sudden it just becomes like super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm driving home at night, I'm like, wow, that was neat. Like
that must be so freaking cool to be at the front of the class.
Cool. And I think when the intention from the beginning was to create a safe space, and in return, when y'all created that safe space for me, that's amazing. And that's what Immerse became.
Mm-hmm.
It became a safe space for me when my intention was to create something for you all.
Mm-hmm. That kind of makes me think about the quality of the person on the other side again, because even how you're saying there's times when the energy is just so heavy, like the sound bath's not going to move you. That's just the reality sometimes. Sometimes you're going to go to the workout and you're going to still be pissed off at the end of it. You're going to go to the sound bath and you're not going to get anything. I'm saying air quotes, but you don't see the micro shifts that makes, but that means that you have to have so much self-trust on your end to be like, I am a facilitator. I'm here to facilitate this energy. And this is the energy that we're working with.
Yes. Yes.
I cannot get you to the other side. No. I can help you.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And I think that comes with being really sure of who you are. And I think that's something that everyone's just going to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But also understanding that not everyone's going to vibe with you.
right? And just as simple as not because you're not good. It could be as simple as they don't like your mic voice. You know, there's some instructors that I'm sure you might just not like their mic voice. So when they're teaching you to meditate or trying to calm you down, you can't calm down because it's just not the voice that you want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that I sometimes struggle with too, because it's like you can teach over 100 people in a week. And let's say 98 of them loved you. But you always hang on to the 2 that don't.
This?
And it could be the most bizarre reason.
Yeah.
That has really nothing to do with you, because sometimes you get like a really bad review, but it's not you. It's like 1 out of 10. The room was too hot. But then you got the 1 out of 10. But I'm not the room.
Yeah.
Right? And you have to tell yourself that. Like, remember, you're not the room. So stop like obsessing over this 1 out of 10. But it took me a long time to.
But even if it was 1
out.
out of 10, I didn't like her voice. It's
still,
not about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that is going back to like knowing yourself, but then also really liking yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was a struggle. I mean, I think that still is. I think you are your own worst critic. And to sit here and say, like, I don't care what anyone thinks about me, it's impossible. And I feel like, especially if you are creating a program, you created a playlist, something that you spent time on, and then you share it with a room, and it doesn't hit with every single person, it's going to affect you.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a bad thing, because I think it shows that you care.
Yeah.
I think it's the instructors who are to a point where they don't care. I mean, that's an issue. I think that's where you probably should think about maybe taking a little bit of a break, because you clearly don't care anymore. But I think for me, I just kind of remind myself, it's just because you care. Maybe you care too much sometimes. But at least I know that I care. That when I do step on the front of the room, that I did take the time to curate this class for you. You know, and I think that matters.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I think people can underestimate how much power you really do have at the front of that room.
For sure.
In the driver's seat of supporting somebody in their life, regardless of the proximity. It's just, you are like, you would never want to go to a doctor's office with a doctor who doesn't care about your well-being.
Exactly.
Why would I want to go to a yoga class with somebody who doesn't care about my well-being?
Yes. And I think that especially in Vancouver, there's so many studios. There's so many instructors. And I'm not saying every single one of them is bad or whatever. But I do completely agree with what you say. Know your craft and continue to learn. Because I think even especially nowadays, everyone's a sound healer. You know, and that's great because you have lots of options. But I do think that there's the idea where it's like, it's not a musical instrument. You're actually dealing with people's energy systems. It's science. So it's not just playing them like instruments. And I think that's really important, especially with so many different things popping up and there's so many options. And then you have a room full of people that are looking to heal and looking to rest and looking to regulate their chakras, for example. But they don't know. They haven't had the training. So they're just thinking, okay, well, I'll go with this person. It sounds nice. But when that person's also just playing the notes because they think it sounds nice and there's no science behind it, I think that's huge.
I think you can feel it. And now I'm very sensitive to that stuff, probably because I have a consciousness around it.
Yeah.
But like, I can go to a sound healing and I've been in your room where, you know, we're in the sound bowls and I let the fuck go and I am in a different universe. And it's like, I come back and I'm like, how am I going to walk home? But like, it's like one of those, like, to me, I know when somebody is they care about the craft versus somebody just quote unquote making noise. And I'm just like, I do think that this was a waste of my money. Yeah. You know, because you know the difference between, is this the room and the experience versus like, am I just in that thick energy and I'm unable to sink in? True. I'm never going to blame that on the room or the cost or whatever. But sometimes I'm like, I am let down by like, I just feel like you're just doing it to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that
that has happened. I've definitely experienced that. I'm really picky as well because I am in tune with it. But the reality is, I think not everybody is, especially if you're new to it. And I think that can be scary because I think if you're new to it and let's say your first couple of sound baths wasn't with somebody who was in tuned and was trained properly and understands the science behind it all, you're also not you wouldn't know the difference. Like you wouldn't know what it felt like to really clear the chakras, to really kind of be in that sleep wake moment. You wouldn't know. You probably just took a nap. Right. And I think especially now when there's so many different studios that you can go to and literally different practitioners, I think it's a due diligence to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Instead of just kind of, looking pretty behind the bowls.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think
I feel like that. Yeah. I feel like that with in the coaching space, like
for sure.
I've done so many certifications, like so that I have somebody's life across from me.
Yeah.
I am not just going to be like, hey, I'm wise and I get this stuff and I love learning about psychology. That's a part of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's my responsibility to like hold myself in integrity to be able to hold you in integrity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think eventually people they'll know, you know what I mean? And it'll come through. I feel like if you're not holding the right space, you're not going to get the right people that are going to be in there.
Yeah.
And only kind of time will suffice on how that will be. I truly believe that. I think right now it's definitely like a big fad, but I can tell like, okay, these instructors are going to definitely have full classes for sure. And then the other ones are just going to kind of fade off because it just will be.
Yeah. What's something that's making you excited right now in this season of your life?
In this season, I feel like I'm just so excited to have more time. I have so much more time to hang out, travel, try out new studios. I've really kind of been in my sauna cold plunge era. Like I think everybody else is. Yes, everyone's in it. I feel like there's so many places popping up that in my mind I'm like, okay, there's so many of you. I hope you all last.
Yes, I know. I think it's the same thing that you just said about the sound bowl people.
Yeah. There's so many. It's funny though because I like to do like the self-guided.
Same.
I just like to go in.
I like to do it my own way.
Yeah. I do like back and forth, and I have yet to try one of the classes. I should give it a go. But yeah, just having more time to do that and to kind of be a part of the community of wellness and fitness, but on the other side. It's so nice to not to be at the front of the stage, to be honest.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. The first little while it was funny because I would try and get to the class like right before it about to start so that I'm just not in the foyer and people are kind of like, oh, are you back? But now, it's been a few months, so people are kind of like, I think I know her, or maybe I don't, and it's fine. Yeah. So I can kind of sneak in there, but
it's hard to be famous.
No. You know what's so funny? Not even at all. In my mind, I just thought that in order to be relevant, you needed to be this big personality.
Oh, I get it. But you know what? The first of all, the wellness community here is small. Once you know what's up, you know what's up, right? And you know who people are. And like, sometimes I am like, I'll be in a mode where I don't want anybody to talk to me or look at me today. So I will get there like just before. And it's not because anybody knows me. It's just like we all go to the same class.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. And it's like you don't need, and it's funny because there's been time and time again where I've like been proven wrong, where it's like things will come my way where it's like, hey, do you want to come do this? And it's like, really, me?
Yeah.
I'm like, and I'll look around like, you really?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as this person just came to my class randomly on this night.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with however many followers you have or whatever. It was literally just, I came to your class, or my friend did and got your contact. Yeah. And the last like 5 years, I would say I constantly had a lot of opportunity just from that. It had nothing to do with
it went from the quality of your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to stand by it. I was like, okay, like there's something there. You don't need to post all these reels and things like that. Because in my mind, I thought I had to. And I was like, I'm not good at it. I don't want to do that. And then I never did. But opportunities still came. So I was like, okay, as long as you release, I feel like it'll just come.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm in that stage right now where I feel like I've said no to a lot of things, but I feel like, man, I've stepped away for a long time. I feel like already for this whole year. And I still have the odd like, hey, do you want to come do this? You know, and it's cool to be able to be like, no, but maybe like next year, to just feel like, okay, cool. Like I still have an impact. You know, if I do come back, it's not like starting from scratch. It's not that scary.
Yeah.
You know, and
you've done it before.
There. Exactly.
Yeah.
And now I kind of...
You get to decide what you say yes to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before I felt like I had to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like at the beginning, maybe you should, just because it gives you an opportunity to meet a lot of different people and to learn different things. But I'm so glad that I'm at a space now where it's like, okay, I don't have to anymore. I could be more selective.
Yeah.
You know, which is nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, where can people find you online?
I still have an active Instagram at Miss Pei Chai. The website is on pause. I may bring it back up in the new year, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'll post it on Instagram first if I decide to do that.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on ThinkSpace.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been so great.
Of course. Thank you.